Well, it is approaching that time of the year. April 15th is right around the corner. It's tax season, and as you submit your taxes to the IRS and to the state of Michigan's Department of Treasury, you'll start to get your returns back as well in the coming weeks and months. And for some of you, that means going out and buying some new toy or working on some projects around the home. But there's ways that your money can work for you in the market that you're getting back from the federal government. And here to talk to us about some of those options and where we're at right now in the markets is Tom Griffore from Great Lakes Wealth, where he serves as a senior wealth advisor. Tom, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, Tyler. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you on. Always enjoy having you and Dewey Steffen and the team at Great Lakes Wealth join us on our program to talk about the markets. And this is an interesting time of year because there's always stuff to consider at this time of the year financially. So you're getting ready for your taxes, and you're making sure that you're getting your finances in check, especially if you're owing money to the federal government or to the state Department of Treasury. But then comes the time after that, often the fun time. The most fun part of the tax season is when we're getting that tax return back. And often people may just put that in their savings account or go out and spend it on something. But there's ways that we can make that money work for us that we're getting back and make more money for us off of that return potentially in the market. So when people are getting their tax returns back, Tom, how do individuals like you and others on your team at Great Lakes Wealth work with them to put that sort of money to work for them and maybe increase that return down the line?
Great question, Tyler, and you're absolutely right. The deadline's coming up here. April 18th is right around the corner. It's like almost close to 4 weeks away. But what we always like to advise with our clients is pay yourself first before you pay others. And what I mean by that is, number one, if you have any credit card debt, with interest rates going up currently, credit card debt payments are increasing. So if you have a loan on your credit card, make sure you pay it off. One of our sayings here is if you're basically paying 29.9% interest on your credit card debt, it's a good way to pay that down and make sure that it's taken care of so you don't have additional payments on that. So make sure you pay down that credit card debt. That's a great way to make a return of 29.9%. The second thing you want to do, Tyler, is you want to shore up your emergency fund. You want to make sure that you have at least 3 to 6 months worth of emergency funds in case something happens in your life. As we know, things can happen. And then the third thing is you want to take care of yourself. You want to look at saving more for retirement. And there's a cool thing that the IRS allows you to do. It's called the Roth IRA. If you qualify, you should talk to a tax advisor to make sure. But you could put up to almost $6,000 into that account for the year 2022. And that was last year, right? 2022. So you kind of get a catch up there before the deadline. So make sure you're putting that money away and saving for retirement, and make sure you're on track for your goals for sure. But those are three main things that you should be considering.
And Tom, at this time of the year, some people, as we mentioned, they may go out and spend that tax return. Sometimes they have projects they want to take care of, or like you had said, they're going and attacking some of that debt that they have by using that money they're getting back that they had been putting away off their paychecks and giving to the federal government or to the state, and now is back in their pocket. But for those that are considering just putting that money away, putting it in their savings account, what are the advantages and disadvantages to that versus putting it into the market at this time?
Well, that's a good question. So, obviously you want to basically save, like I always say, pay yourself first. So you want to make sure you're paying yourself first. You're making sure that if you want to save for retirement or a rainy day, that you have those funds available. A lot of people right now are a little fearful of the stock market. The stock market had some volatile times and volatile years. But I will say we're fighting one major thing here, and everybody needs to know this. We're fighting inflation. And with inflation, the way you try to beat inflation is you kind of dollar cost average and invest in the market. And if it's a longer term goal, you want to take advantage of that. If it's a shorter term goal, then take a look at a high yielding savings account. I mean, currently, if you look around out there, you can get a savings account paying north of over 4% on your cash. So keep an eye on deals like that and make sure your money is always working hard for you.
And as you mentioned, the markets with inflation, with the state of our economy, with the state of other economies around the world and how that interacts with us here in Michigan and across the U.S. has made that market kind of volatile. It's been down and up over the last few years. It's been very inconsistent. And so that creates an interesting dynamic where on the one hand, you can say, okay, it's down and there's trouble in the market right now. Maybe I don't want to put my money there. But on the other hand, the market is down, and what goes down in the markets tends to later on go up. So there's opportunity there. As you're advising your clients, and as others at Great Lakes Wealth and other institutions like you are advising your clients, what are you balancing as you're discussing with them about whether or not going into the market right now or in certain capacities now or in the future is the right move for them, or if they should be a little bit more careful given the state of our economy at this time?
That's a great question, Tyler. I mean, really what we're advising our clients to is really getting to know their situation. Number one, what is your short-term goal? If you have a short-term goal, you definitely don't want to be investing in the stock market and it's going up and down. You also have midterm goals and then, of course, long-term goals. If you're saving for retirement and something longer term down the road, this is a lifetime opportunity to be dollar cost averaging in, which is mean adding money gradually into this market. Because over the long term, it's one of the best inflation hedges that we have. But if you have a shorter term goal, we're advising clients to look around for high paying interest rate yielding savings accounts to make sure that your savings is growing while your money is sitting there. Before, years ago, and not too long ago, you couldn't get anything on your money in the bank. So now they're offering you some interest that helps you compound and grow your money there. So it's a good question, Tyler. I think it's person specific, but more importantly, just to make sure you understand your goals and what you want to use the money for.
And these are all complicated topics, and that's why talking to someone that has some experience in the industry, that has expertise in the markets to some extent, and others is a good idea, and especially for those younger people that are just starting work. Maybe they graduated at the end of last year and beginning of this year, or they're coming up on that graduation, and they want to be saving some money, especially given the economic times that we're in. How do you, as a wealth advisor with Great Lakes Wealth and others on your team, begin those conversations, especially with people that are novice investors and novice traders that may be advising with you to save that money and, as you said, pay themselves?
Yeah, first of all, it's not too early to save, and it's not too early or too late to save. So basically, what we tell a lot of people goes back to pay yourself first. Make sure you when you get your paycheck, you're putting money aside for whatever goal that is. If it's a retirement goal, make sure you're taking advantage of the IRS giving you these opportunities in Roth IRAs or traditional IRAs. Take advantage of your 401k. If they're matching you, make sure you get your match. So take advantage of all these tools that are out there for you, and make sure you're utilizing them to save. And set up an automatic investment plan. If you want to save $100 a month, throw it into a savings account. Maybe you're saving for college. Maybe you open up a 529 account. But saving a little bit goes a long way over time. And I would say dollar cost average into this market if you have a long-term goal, and if you have a short-term goal, make sure your money is always working for you. My grandfather always said, you work hard for your money, so you want your money to work hard for you. And that should be on a consistent basis.
You can find more information and get in contact with Tom and the team at Great Lakes Wealth by visiting their website at greatlakeswealth.us, greatlakeswealth.us, or you can call them at 248-378-1200, 248-378-1200, or toll free 855-578-1200, 855-578-1200 for more information. And again, their website, greatlakeswealth.us. Joining us on the program today is Tom Griffore, a senior wealth advisor at Great Lakes Wealth. On today's program, so we're talking about using your tax returns to maybe get yourself prepared for retirement down the road, or savings, or take care of some of those costs that are keeping you down at this moment in time, like that credit card debt. And Tom, for those that are going to an advisor for the first time and are really taking that bird's eye view look at their finances now and into the future, what should they be considering, or what should they be preparing before that first conversation and that first consultation with an expert like you?
Good question. Just like building a house, you want to make sure you build a good foundation. So you just want to make sure you gather everything that you have to bring to your financial advisor, your statements, recently what you've saved, what's in your 401k if you have one at work, and really paint the picture of how you're going to kind of build that house. And that really helps your advisor understand your situation so that you can figure out if you need to save more, or maybe you can spend a little bit more, which is always fun, right? So make sure you get all the details that you can with your advisor, and don't hide anything from your advisor. I really recommend that. Make sure they know the whole picture. And I would also say, also, since it's tax season, Tyler, bring your tax returns in. Let's take a look at your tax returns and make sure we can understand if we can save you money on taxes. There's different investment vehicles too that are out there that can help with tax deferral. So we definitely want to look at everything that you have. So bring as much information as you can to the meeting.
And not everyone that's going to a wealth advisor or financial advisor of any kind is necessarily a novice or doing so for the first time. Sometimes it is people that have been investing in the markets for a long time on their own or with other advisors. And so from your point of view, as you're working with these individuals, what sort of are your goals as a professional to achieve in those meetings, both the initial consultations and over time as situations change, as goals change for your clients?
Good question, Tyler. We like to sit across the table with our clients or next to them and really understand what they want to get accomplished. I mean, if they have an investment strategy that's been working for them and they understand it and they're on top of it, we want to work with them with that. Definitely want to do that. We don't want to digress from whatever they're planning on doing, but really we want to be a good partner and educate them on other investment solutions that they might not have considered that might help them in the longer term or short term with their goals. So that's a great question. We just want to sit alongside you, be a partner, and then make sure we're working together on what you're trying to get accomplished. And it's okay if you do it on your own. We just want to help educate you and give you some more dry powder, I'd like to say, to look at other investment solutions.
What are some of those difference makers? Because as you said, there are people that go to financial advisors like you sometimes later on in their life, or they've switched between financial advisors, they've gone on their own for a while, and they know what they're doing. They've had some success in the market. But what's that difference maker that a professional can bring versus somebody taking this on their own?
Yeah, good question. I think, a lot of times we just focus on returns. A lot of investors are just focused on, buying a company or focus on a return. So I think if you take a step back and really find out goes back to what your goals are going to be, it really helps your financial planner get on the same page with you. And that's the main thing is figure out what you're doing and get on the same page. A lot of times, if you're doing something different and your advisor has something different in mind, when those two things clash, it doesn't work out well in the end because eventually you're just looking at returns. And it's really not always about returns. It's about how you're going to get those returns and then turn them into a plan. We always say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that's one of our big things we do here. So I think just sitting down and planning and making sure you have a good investment strategy lined up and you're both on the same page really can help you out, Tyler.
A lot of great resources on their website as well, greatlakeswealth.us, including information on how you can get in contact with the professionals at Great Lakes Wealth for more information. And if you'd like to ask some questions about your financial situation, sit down with one of them and consult on where you're at. Tax day is April 18th, and tax returns, either if you submitted early or shortly after that, will be coming your way. And a great way to address those tax returns and make them work for you is, of course, as Tom had said, put them towards some of your debts or put them into the market, make that money work for you. Tom Griffore is a senior wealth advisor at Great Lakes Wealth. Again, greatlakeswealth.us is their website. Tom, a couple more minutes with you before we'll need to move on for the day. Anything else that we haven't discussed, whether it's about tax season or the markets at this time, that would be important for our audience to keep in consideration as they're going forward?
Yeah, I would just mention, don't focus too much on what the Federal Reserve is doing. I mean, we're talking about inflation. And the big thing about the Federal Reserve is their two main mandates is to basically have max employment and basically have price stability. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to calm down inflation, which everybody knows they're kind of feeling it. So in order to outpace inflation for the long term, a good idea is that, like I mentioned before, is get a good plan in place and dollar cost average into a market that's volatile. Because long term, if you have a long-term goal, the stock market does outpace inflation over the long term. And there's other investments out there that can do that. And we're going to have, it's interesting, Tyler, we're talking because the Fed is going to come out today and make a decision if they're going to raise rates again. It's going to be really hard for borrowers. So if you're borrowing money at this time, interest rates are going up. It's going to cost you more money, obviously, to pay back that loan. So it goes back to that credit card conversation. Pay that stuff down as quickly as possible and making sure that variable rate doesn't affect you. And so pay down your debt. just have a good plan in place and work with somebody who can transition your plan in your investment vehicles into something that can make sense for you either in the short term or long term. But there's lots of ideas out there, and get with your professional and make sure you understand all your options before you just throw a dart.
You can get with the professionals at Great Lakes Wealth by visiting their website at greatlakeswealth.us. Tom, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, Tyler. I appreciate you having me on.